Welcome to Geekbeef. I'm Steve Beef.
And I'm Andy Beef.
And welcome to episode 1, where we're going to talk about our favorite MCU movies, our top 5. I'm just kind of go down the line, because we want you, our viewers, to get an understanding of who we are. And there's nothing more popular today than the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, we're going to give some of our honorable mentions and then just start working down through our top 5, just explain why we love them, and then you can respond in the comment section below why you love our ideas or why you hate our ideas or whatever it might be. We want to hear from you because we are trying to build a geek community.
A Geekbeef empire. If you like us, please absolutely subscribe, and like Steve said, if you have any thoughts or ideas, please leave them in the comments below, and we'll definitely get looking at them and get back to you about them.
Yeah, we're for the people. That's our whole goal. We're not trying to get popular. We want
Your beef.
to join us. It's our beef. So,
let's get into it and start discussing our beef.
Our beef. So let's just start talking about our honorable mentions. So obviously there's 21 movies right now. 22 movies.
Yeah, a lot of movies.
21 movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So many of them are... I think what we could probably agree on is that there's not really one bad movie in the lot.
Well, they're all good. I mean, there's nothing bad. They range from incredible to good.
Yeah.
And
I would say
really good even.
I would say there's one. There's one that is like the macaroni necklace.
Thor Dark World.
No, I don't think Thor Dark World is the bottom of the barrel. My thing, the macaroni necklace, and what I mean by macaroni necklace, I'll explain that in a second, is the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Incredible Hulk, which came out, very shortly after Iron Man. Iron Man was amazing. We'll both talk about that a little bit, but Incredible Hulk is what I call the macaroni necklace, because it's
special.
It's something that your kid gives you, and when they're little, it's like special to them, but it's nothing great. They're going to get better at doing things, and that's pretty much what the Incredible Hulk is. It was something early on. They're trying to build a cinematic universe. Nobody's ever done anything like it before, except for, obviously Star Wars, but Star Wars is very different than this.
And that's what's crazy about the Incredible Hulk is when it came out, people loved Edward Norton as Bruce Banner.
Did they?
Yeah, they did. People loved Bruce Banner, or Edward Norton as Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
And when they announced Mark Ruffalo would be playing him in Avengers, it kind of struck a nerve in a lot of people. They're like, but we want Edward Norton to come back.
Yeah.
But he didn't, and everyone was real concerned in the way they were concerned about Heath Ledger playing the Joker.
Yeah.
But by the time they saw Ruffalo in Avengers, everyone was like, okay.
What an amazing
Ruffalo
year.
is Bruce Banner now.
But what an amazing year 2008 was, though, if you really think about it, because there's so much that came out that year. And I think, honestly, coming off the tail of not really, the Dark Knight trilogy was right in the middle in 2008. But it set the bar so high, right. And that's really where I was at. I'm kind of a late to the game person for the MCU. We've had many discussions on this because I was a big DC guy for many years. I was all about Batman. Batman was my favorite character. Even from when I was a little kid, the Keaton movies, even the Val Kilmer movie in '95. I loved Batman. Joel Schumacher, those movies, they had their time and their place. It was very mid-'90s. They weren't horrendous for the time that they came out. Now you look at them, they're silly.
But we look back at all those movies back then. They were all different, but they were all special for their own purposes, too. You look back at them and compared to what we have now with all of the editing and everything we have is absolutely incredible. But there's still something special about those older movies, too, that we all love. So.
Absolutely. But those Batman movies in the mid or early 2000s, were just so amazing. Batman Begins. When I saw that movie, I'm like, this is something special. Yeah. And then The Dark Knight completely, it didn't just blow me away. It blew everybody away. It became the bar that all comic book movies were set at. Until really, I feel like today, where the MCU has just taken off completely. With Phase 3, to me, is some of the greatest comic book movies ever made. Hands down. And there's some good ones out there. The Dark Knight, obviously, one of the greatest movies ever made, just period. Not just a good comic book movie, but a good movie. And then you have Spider-Man 2, which is a great movie. Does it hold up? Not as much as I think people want it to, but it's still a really great comic book movie.
Same thing with X-Men 2 back then.
X2, huge. X-Men United. Amazing
both
movie.
Spider-Man and X3 both...
Yeah, Spider-Man 3, X-Men.
Fell a little flat, and people got disappointed. But let's get back to our...
But we can wax philosophical, for a long time. Let's talk about our honorable mentions. We'll just kind of do our honorable mentions kind of rapid fire. These are the ones that are not in my top 5, but they were so close. And there's other ones. I'm not even gonna get into all of them because like I looked at all 21 movies. I cut it down almost in half, and then I cut it in half again almost, and I was like, these are my top 5. But here's a few honorable mentions. Movies that I absolutely loved. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. What a great, fun, hilarious movie. Just your classic popcorn flick with a lot of heart. You got the characters in the Guardians of the Galaxy. I just love them. Ant-Man and the Wasp, I thought was just the surprise hit of the year after Infinity War which was an amazing movie, but kind of ending on a downer. Having Ant-Man and the Wasp kind of lifting your spirits, a little bit of something to laugh at. Love Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly. I mean, they're both, like, they did such a great job in that movie. I loved the original Ant-Man movie. Ant-Man and the Wasp, I felt like just took it that one step above. And this is probably the one I might get a little bit of flack for, because I'm sure this is in a lot of people's top 5, but it's just missed the mark. Just missed the mark for me, and I'll explain why, is Iron Man. I love the original Iron Man movie. It is near perfection as far as superhero movies are concerned. I thought for a movie that starts off something that is so new to us in a cinematic universe, Iron Man did a great job. Jon Favreau did a great job directing. Robert Downey Jr. will always be Tony Stark. That was the perfect casting, and he just came out of nowhere. Really, because I mean, he was kind of like the B-list, even C-list actor for a time, and then all of a sudden he's back, and I mean, he's our A-list man. He's so good, and I can't see anybody else ever playing that part. But Iron Man, like I said, came out in 2008. I think it was in May of 2008, and then The Dark Knight came out in July. And I mean, that just stole my attention. That was my movie. And Iron Man was good. Dark Knight was great. And I felt like it kind of just rested in the shadows.
They were both special in their own ways. Like, Iron Man was taking a different direction from what the Dark Knight was. Dark Knight was realistic. It was dark.
Yeah.
It was gritty.
Yes.
And then Iron Man came out. It gave us some laughs.
Yeah.
It was comical, but it was also realistic for a Marvel movie, but also in the realm of different, it wasn't too real.
And I think it was just a product of his time. Like we were talking about, even with Incredible Hulk being a product of his time. Iron Man 2 was that, but I think done so much better, and it set the pace for what was going to be the rest of these Marvel movies, and to something that we knew we were going to end up loving. Right. Even though I don't think I was there, I know a lot of people were there when that movie came out, because I mean, not too long after, I mean, you had Incredible Hulk, which was like, and then Iron Man 2, which was horrendous. Right. I don't think that's in anybody's top movies.
But we just said there was no bad movies in the Marvel universe, Steve.
Horrendous for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know what I mean? It's
Iron Man 2 wasn't horrible, but it had some great moments in it. Some bad spots too.
Let's pull the Band-Aid off real fast. I have a very strong opinion on everything, and I apologize in advance. You're probably going to hate me, but you're going to love this guy. So enjoy. Good.
Well, let's get back to my
please. I'm sorry. I talked way too long.
My number 3 would be the first Ant-Man movie. I loved the first Ant-Man film. It was different. It came along as its own separate movie, the same way that Ant-Man and Wasp did. Like, you could take Ant-Man and Wasp and pull it away from all the other movies and have it as its own separate entity. And that's what Ant-Man did for me. Mm-hmm. I loved Paul Rudd. I loved the characters, the story to it. It was just engaging and a great start to the Ant-Man universe. My second one would actually be the first Avengers movie. I love the first Avengers movie. Age of Ultron was up there on my list too, but it's actually the first Avengers movie that really
edged out for you.
Yeah, it was amazing to see all those characters come together for that first time. Such a new world that they created from that. And then my number 1, my honorable mentions, is Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which again, a lot of people give it a bad rap, but I love Guardians of the Galaxy 2. It's a different story. They went a different direction with Peter Quill's father.
Yeah.
Ego. Spoilers, by the way. If you don't like hearing spoilers and you haven't seen these movies for some weird reason,
I really feel like
sorry, but
on our list, there's only one movie that maybe you don't know. I think everything else on here, I think between our two lists that we have, there's going to be maybe a little bit of spoilers.
If you haven't seen them
for one movie,
and you're watching
but at this point,
then it's your fault. So
yeah, I mean, we love you. Please stay tuned. It's not totally your fault.
Yeah. Right.
All right. So, this is the part where
let's just get up to our
top five. Absolutely, our top five.
You do yours. I'll do mine. 5, 5, 5.
Yeah,
4,
5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1.
Okay. Let's do it.
All right.
I'm gonna leave this in so they can see it.
Okay.
Whatever.
Enjoy
the video cast. Okay,
right.
Now we might cut it.
So it was really hard for me to give it number 5, to come up with my number 5, because like I said, Iron Man was like right on the cusp of number 5, but this one just edged it out, and it's kind of fitting because I really feel like this character is going to be pretty much the replacement character for Iron Man in the future of the MCU, and that is it was Spider-Man: Homecoming. Is it a perfect movie? No. Is it a perfect Spider-Man movie? No, but it's a great movie. It's a lot of fun. It's hilarious.
Tom Holland is an amazing Peter Parker. Young Peter Parker.
Good as Peter Parker. It reminds me a lot of the Ultimate Spider-Man comics from the early 2000s, which I recently got into. I had no idea what I was missing out on until I got into those. I read 60 issues in the matter of 4 days while I was on vacation not that long ago, and I was completely blown away. And it's a refreshing retelling of that story. And what I love about Homecoming is it's not taking its time on the origin story or focusing too much on Uncle Ben. We know that Uncle Ben's gone. We know Aunt May is...
We all know the story, so yeah, why retell it again?
Retell it again? But Tom Holland, amazing as Spider-Man. I enjoy him as a young Spider-Man. Do I hope that in the future Spider-Man grows up? Yes. I enjoy an adult Spider-Man more than I enjoy a teenage Spider-Man.
And that's what's cool is I can see them actually taking Tom Holland because he's getting older as they make these movies too, and it can actually flow into an older Spider-Man.
Will he ever actually look older than he is? That's the big question. Right. But man, top to bottom, just an enjoyable movie. Having Tony Stark present throughout is awesome. Just
don't forget about the Vulture.
Yeah, you killed my... And Michael Keaton, man.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. That's fine. Because
the amazing Michael Keaton.
That is, Vulture, to me, the thing that brings it over the top. I think in Phase 3 alone, the villains have been stepped up above and beyond anything that we've ever seen in just in comic book movies in general, because finally they have personalities and there's actual decent motive behind what they're doing. Like nobody cared about the Vulture at all. I mean, no, Vulture is kind of... Adrian Toomes is kind of a secondary villain. Nobody's really interested in the Vulture in the comic books. He's not. But he's really in the movie. They give so much depth and character to it. Because it's Michael Keaton, and anything Michael Keaton does is fantastic. I probably have some bias. I've been a Michael Keaton fan since I was a little kid, being that he was our Batman, he was our Beetlejuice, he was, so many things, but he's such an amazing actor, and there's so much depth to any character that he does. And that is one of the reasons that it just pushed it over the top, because it included so many great elements, including just an amazing villain. And they ended up setting it up for future Spider-Man movies. Yeah. We're going to have, hopefully, Scorpion. We saw Gargan at the end of the movie. Yeah. They have Mysterio coming up. We all know about that. If that's indeed what ends up happening with Far From Home. Who knows? If it ends up being Mysterio, if it's Jake Gyllenhaal, even better. I think he'll fill that position well. But who knows, man? I'm just excited that there's going to be more Spider-Man movies, and I'm glad that Disney, even though Disney gets a lot of flack, especially with the whole James Gunn situation right now. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing, at least. And I'm glad Spider-Man's once again in good hands after. Not that the Amazing Spider-Man movies were horrible, but they weren't great. They tried to kind of go into that whole world of the gritty, and that's just not Spider-Man. Yeah. It was just, and then Spider-Man 2 was such a mess trying to find its tone. I'm glad. Amazing Spider-Man 2. Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'm sorry. Yeah, I guess you do have to make that. Because we have 3 different universes. Yeah, that is the crazy part. But Spider-Man 2, like I said earlier, it's a good movie. Does it stand up? I don't think so. But it's still a great movie. I think, Otto Octavius is great. But as a villain, but not nearly as good as Michael Keaton. I think he's been of all the villains in all of the Spider-Man movies, he's the top, and I mean it's by a long shot. So, anyway, that's my number 5.
My number 5 is actually Infinity War, which might get weird because Infinity War is in your list.
It is in my list,
but we'll discuss it now, and we'll just
and then I'll just give it. 1. Yeah, sure.
Infinity War is my number 5. I know it's an amazing movie and it might be at the top of a lot more of your list, but leading up to Infinity War is why I didn't want to have it at my top, because everything that brought on to Infinity War, I was one of the people that watched every movie in the 2 months leading up to Infinity War. It was such an incredible experience to watch every single one of them, and then finally watch Infinity War, and it was just the impact that you got from that was incredible. Just seeing where the universe has gone to, and seeing where our characters have come from, and where they're ending up at this point.
And to me, it's the ultimate payoff movie. I don't know if there's ever been so much build up to a movie that completely lived up to the hype.
Right.
Because a lot of times when movies start getting hyped and the fan community gets behind it and there's a lot of excitement, there's high expectations, and I don't feel like in any way Infinity War disappointed.
Right.
There was one part of that movie where I was bored. Maybe some of the Scarlet Witch Vision stuff. I didn't really care about Vision as a character all that much. So those parts, but I get that it was an important element. It's the Mind Stone. They need to get that. That was probably my only thing that I didn't like about Infinity War.
I appreciated that part of it, that they brought the comic book world, because that's where it comes from. It's comic books and Scarlet Witch and the Vision having their relationship. Bringing it all together. It was a small part, but I think for the fans, we can look at it deeper, and they don't show too much of the relationship build up in the movie. Yeah. But I think as fans, we can think of the comic book series and just going through there and building up what's grown as from things we haven't seen in the years between the movies,
But so many great, almost suit up kind of moments. Not that they were not like the traditional kind of suit up moments, but those moments that just get you really excited, like when Cap makes his first appearance on screen. I think I got a little choked up. I heard some
people squeal.
Yeah, I got choked up. It's weird. The older I get, the more sensitive I become, I think. But when Cap...
We've grown with these people, They're not just characters anymore. They're our friends. Yeah. That we've seen in these movies, we've grown with them. So.
Exactly, and that's especially with Captain America. I didn't even care about the character of Captain America really until one of the movies that's on my list. And I don't want to take away from that too much, but Infinity War, that obviously Thor becoming, I think, almost everybody's
meeting the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, he's everybody's favorite character.
Perfect matchup.
Yeah. So I think so many great elements to Infinity War, and then Thanos. Man,
coming in and wreaking havoc.
There was
that was amazing.
But
the start of the movie, just him going in and spoilers, killing Loki. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
But fighting Hulk, I mean, just dominating, a dominating force, and fantastic performance by Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
Just amazingly done. There was absolutely no disappointment. I didn't hear one person that was disappointed with how Thanos turned out as a character. He was so well done and completely different than the comics.
Yeah.
He actually...
they gave him a character. In the comic books, you don't really care. I mean, you like Thanos and what he does.
Sure.
But the depth that they added to him, you care about him as a character going into through the movie,
Yeah.
They develop him as a bad guy. You only see a little bit up to that point. When you finally see him, you're like, okay, this guy is the end all to bad guys.
And it's not even and the crazy thing with him is in the comic books, he's a bad guy. He's a nihilist. He has no care for humanity. He has an obsession with death. In this movie, he honestly thinks that he's doing the right thing throughout. He thinks that he is the answer, that he is saving the universe in what he's doing.
And it's fine, and you can understand what he's saying.
And I get it.
It's not like we're all going to go out and annihilate half the universe.
What he's doing, but we totally get it. So, Infinity War, I think, is probably at the top of a lot of people's lists.
Absolutely.
Continuing on, my number 4 is the original Guardians of the Galaxy.
Love the first Guardians movie.
And it's on both of our lists.
I'll get back to that. Mine, that's actually number 3 on my list.
Yeah.
So we'll just talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it now. Guardians of the Galaxy was one of those movies, 2014. Came out of nowhere. Nobody knew I didn't know who the Guardians of the Galaxy were. I'm not going to pretend on this video I couldn't wait for this Guardians of I didn't know who they were. I honestly couldn't care less.
And I was on the opposite end. I was so excited to see the Guardians movie.
But you had read the comics beforehand, right?
Yeah, I've read a lot of the comic books leading up to it, and it was awesome going into it because a lot of people didn't even know this was connected to the Marvel Universe. Mm-hmm. My wife went into it, and she was Bethany Beef went into it, and she didn't even know. She's like, "This is connected to the Marvel Universe," and she's like, "How?" And I go into my whole geek spiel of why that is, and now you see them connecting, and it's like super exciting in Infinity War to know that those are all come together. And again, they developed so much character development in those movies. Yes. We love all the actors that play the parts. Groot, just awesome. We love our tree, Rocket Raccoon. The one thing they had to really get right was Rocket, and they just nailed it.
Killed it.
It was amazing.
Bradley Cooper, man, and it's. I don't see Bradley Cooper in that performance at all, and that says how good of a job he does doing the voice and stuff. It is like
you can't even tell it's him, really.
No, really, you can't, because the voice doesn't sound like anything he's ever sounded like in a movie. He does it so well. I mean, it's quickly become one of my favorite characters. He's not my most favorite of the Guardians. I obviously I think Groot is everybody's favorite. He's an endearing character, especially in the first movie, and even Baby Groot in the new movie. Two totally different characters, according to James Gunn, but just so well done, and just like completely just grips you. But I would say about Guardians, unlike Spider-Man, it was my number 5. I don't think the villain's all that strong. Ronan?
Yeah, Ronan gets a lot of crap for not being an amazing character, and he didn't have too much depth to him.
He's all right.
But he did his part to bring in the Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
The awareness of the Infinity Stones and the Guardians of the Galaxy and bringing them together. So he did his part. He was there as a character, but only to show who the Guardians are, I think. And it was
exactly.
Perfect.
And I think he's going to get a chance to redeem himself in the upcoming Captain Marvel movie. They've already announced that he's going to be part of it.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see how he comes back from being blown to smithereens.
Well, it takes place in the 90s.
Oh, that's right.
So it's taking place back in time.
Oh, well.
Sorry, didn't mean to do that to you. We won't include that. But yeah.
It's cool, whatever.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call you out.
No. Whatever, Steve Beef.
Start the camera awkwardly. So yeah, Guardians for sure. One of my favorite movies. I watch it over and over again. The humor is outstanding. The ensemble works so well together. Dave Bautista as Drax is fantastic.
And the way they used Awesome Mix to create the soundtrack for the movie, it was just perfect. Having an 80s hits. All throughout the movie.
I think what's really cool about that too is it brought those songs to a brand new generation where so many young people they're listening to that stuff and they would have never listened to it under any other circumstance, and it fit the movie so well. Like each one of those songs, even when you go into Guardians Volume 2, which I think has, and I know I'm kind of in the minority on this, I think it has the better of the soundtracks. I think Awesome Mix Volume 2 is better than the original, and not by much. I don't think it's like that much better, but I enjoy it a little bit more than the original. I mean,
it's got Brandy in it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so much. There's so much good to Volume 2, but Volume 1, it fits every element. I think the characters are well developed in Guardians in Volume 1, even though they kind of do some retcon with Yondu in Volume 2. He's kind of a different character than in the first one, but it's still really great.
But it was cool to see the development of Yondu. I mean, a lot of people didn't have interest in Yondu, and then when they brought him in the second one, I mean, he's Mary Poppins, y'all.
Yeah, and then now he's everybody's favorite. So Guardians is my number 4.
And my number 3. My number 4 is Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love Thor Ragnarok?
That's a great movie.
Amazing movie.
It's a perfect movie.
I mean, I guess some people don't like it.
Yeah.
But there's like, I don't know. Most people don't.
I guess, what is the comments that you hear of people that don't like the movie? Because I would struggle to understand what is unlikable about Thor Ragnarok.
They'll say Thor Ragnarok doesn't have a lot of character. I don't understand the comments they say. They say there's not a lot of story or character behind it. It was too fast. It was rushed. I mean, you only have so long to put so much into a movie, but the way they presented it and the way it just flowed was absolutely amazing.
Honestly, I think when you hear that it goes too fast, I watched that movie multiple times. I don't think there's not a pacing issue with that movie. I think the thing is it's so enjoyable that it goes by incredibly fast. You're just eating everything up. The scenery is so well done. It's gorgeous. The acting is great. The comedy is there, and it's the most well done comedy in any of the.
Taika
Waititi is
amazing
fantastic.
Job. Just filming that movie, it was hilarious.
But go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. This is yours.
No, it's cool, and just such a great movie. Just developing the story, developing Hela, even the start of the movie when he meets Surtur, and goes in, and we get Thor's theme song.
Yes.
From our Led Zeppelin.
Oh.
It was
so
awesome.
Good.
So anytime, and we'll go back to that later on when we talk more about Infinity War. But it created a theme song for him, and it was perfect.
Yeah, I loved Immigrant Song.
The whole opening scene,
good, man.
Created this hilarious.
But even not just that song, but like the soundtrack by Mark Mothersbaugh, who's of Devo fame, also did the soundtrack to Rugrats, like one of everybody's favorite like little kid show. I love that soundtrack because it has that 80s synth. It really just draws you in. The colors of that movie are just fantastic. There's so little.
So much character.
Yeah, there's so little that you could say about that movie that would say anything other than it's a great movie. Yeah. Even Hulk, who I don't like. I'm not a Hulk fan. I don't like, and I think once again, I probably am not part of the majority of people on that. I don't care for Hulk all that much. This actually made me kind of like.
Awesome, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you go into it, you're like, Hulk is an incredible character.
Yeah,
I mean, just seeing Hulk outside of Bruce Banner, getting to be his own character, and not just being Bruce Banner fighting the Hulk. It was fun to finally see that, and see that development, and the relationship between him and Thor was hilarious. Loki came back, of course.
Yeah, and he was good.
Of course, Loki's just always a great character whenever you see him. Hela was a great villain.
Great villain.
Awesome to see, and she's a great actress too.
Yeah, Cate Blanchett is always amazing. And it didn't even look like her half the time in that movie. And
she's aged like.
Yeah, but she's so good as the villain, and she has like that smirky kind of wit and charm to her. And I don't know. There so much. Carl Urban as what was his name?
It was the.
Yeah, he's like the executioner.
Yeah.
Well, what's his
name is Scourge.
Scourge
the Executioner.
Yeah, Scourge the Executioner, who's from the comics. Yeah. Even he was great. I mean, we didn't even. Why haven't we talked about Jeff Goldblum? Jeff Goldblum once again. How can you not love Jeff Goldblum as the Grandmaster? Probably one of the best lines in the whole movie is "I pardon you from life."
From life.
I love that. That's just classic Jeff Goldblum cadence and how he says it.
Oh man, his
character. Fantastic. I love Thor Ragnarok. It's actually my number 2 movie overall. So yeah, it's well loved all around.
I mean, they started out the movie, you see it gets so dark so quick because you go in, you see Odin now dead, Hela comes in, destroys Mew.
Yeah, Mew's gone,
and you're just like, okay, what's he gonna do now?
That's it.
Yeah,
that was and honestly, then this was the first movie that actually made me like Thor. Where Thor was just kind of like a secondary character to me, even though he was like one of the main characters and one of the main Avengers. I never really cared for him all that much. Strongest Avenger. No, I'm not even trying to do an Australian accent or whatever he does in those movies, but
it's a strong, manly accent.
Yes, it is, and I don't possess anything within me to be able to do that well. But he, Chris Hemsworth as Thor, he went from secondary character to probably my number 2 favorite character in the entire MCU. Maybe even my number 1, I don't know. But he is so great in that movie. But I think we've said probably plenty enough about Ragnarok. Now getting to my number 3, this is a fantastic movie, but it's getting older now, which is kind of crazy to think. But Winter Soldier, Captain America, the Winter Soldier. This was the movie that made me say, wow, Captain America is actually somebody worth caring about. Now, a lot of people are big fans of First Avenger. I think
more people are bigger fans of Winter Soldier. Favorite of the Captain America movies.
Because it's so well done. It's a great espionage thriller. It has a great pacing to it.
The opening to that movie. I love the opening to that movie.
That on the ship, yeah.
Did he just jump out of the helicopter without a parachute?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I bought into it. I'm like, wow, this is the modern Captain America is what got me into Captain America. Looking at the First Avenger, I couldn't get into it as much. I think if I go back now and watched it again, I have not watched First Avenger since it came out. I saw it twice when it came out, and both times I was like, because once again, going back to the era that it came out in, I was big into Batman movies. And if it wasn't living up to that bar that I felt it should be at, and it wasn't hyper realistic and everything, I wasn't into it. Winter Soldier to me was wow. This
was such a big movie on such a big scale.
Yeah, it was.
Reveal of Hydra.
And you get to see what the Russo brothers were going to bring to the MCU. Winter Soldier is perfect all around as a Captain America story. Winter Soldier was such a great villain in that movie. You actually care about Bucky Barnes by the end of it. He's probably one of the first good... I mean, he's not like the main villain technically in that movie, but he was still so great.
Well, it just brought so much, because you remember their relationship from the first film, and then all the comic book fans know the relationship in the comic books between Cap and Bucky and the future of Bucky. So finally seeing that in film was absolutely awesome.
Perfect. Winter Soldier is my number 3.
My number 3 was Guardians, which you've already discussed.
Yeah, we did just discuss that at length.
Again, I love the Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Yeah.
It had such an impact because, again, it was so different and separated from all the other Marvel movies. But we've already discussed that. Your number 2?
My number 2 is Thor Ragnarok. And I just said that a second ago. We've talked about that like for a really long time, and I think we could probably talk about it even more. Not too much more we could say about it at this point, but Ragnarok, far and away, my second favorite Marvel movie.
My second favorite is really weird for a lot of people, and this is just for me. The Captain America, the First Avenger. I love this movie. I love what it represents. I love where it came into the universe. The story of Captain America and the beginning of who he is and what he represents and believes in. It represents so much of who our country is and where we should be and who we should be. Yeah. You know? And even to see like the fall of America and coming from like the comic books and just seeing like what kind of character Captain America is and how looked up to he is. I love all that development. Hugo Weaving, incredible Red Skull.
Yes.
Love Hugo Weaving's Red Skull. There wasn't too much of a deep story to the movie, but it was enough to develop. No. It brought in the cube.
Yes, the Tesseract.
The Tesseract
makes its first appearance.
And what's his name? Igor character.
Oh, you're talking about the dude that's like the computer screen.
Yeah, I hate that I can't remember his name.
I can't remember his name either. We'll just call him.
He's Doctor. We'll just call him
Dr. Von. Van. I don't know his name.
We're so sorry. This is horrible on our geeky behalf.
No,
but it is because he's such a great character and he's such a big character in the comic book.
It's Arnim Zola, you dumb idiots. You know, you think a couple of guys would be able to figure this out, but whatever.
At the beginning of Age of Ultron.
This is sad. Anyways, but he comes back.
Post.
But he comes back in Civil War too when Cap and Black Widow are on the run. They go into the computer room and he's moved his mind into a computer.
Yes.
And his character, I just love his character. Again, First Avenger, just one of my favorite movies.
It's a great period piece. It's well done. It fits that era so well. World War II, which is, I love Band of Brothers. That's one of my favorite movies. Not movies, but miniseries. Saving Private Ryan is like I love World War II and what it represents in so many ways because it's the greatest generation.
Right.
It's it's the golden era of the United States. It's when comic books are first really coming out, and I think in that regard they did a great job. I wish I would have cared more when it came out, because I think if I watched it now, I probably would love it. I just need to sit down and watch it because it's been a really long time since I've watched it.
And it introduced Captain America and his band of brothers.
Yeah,
and all those characters.
Exactly,
it was awesome. And Haley
Atwell's character.
Atwell.
Yeah.
And then they went on to make her show, which I loved. Too bad they canceled it. But,
Agent Carter.
Short-lived. But it was just really cool to see everything beginning again from that point, because First Avenger came after Iron Man 1, Hulk, and Thor, the first Thor movie.
Yep.
And then came Captain America, but it was set further back in time.
Yep.
And then ended in the future, meeting Nick Fury. So that's my number 2.
Number 2. My number 1 was Andrew's number 5. Andy Beef already went over. We went over at length Infinity War. Far and away my favorite movie. And the crazy thing is, as I looked over my list, the other Avengers didn't even are really not even in my top 10. I did not. I mean, it's not that either one of them are bad. I think Age of Ultron is a great movie. I just recently...
Now that you finally saw it?
I know. I didn't see it in theaters. I didn't see it until actually last week for the very first time, and I really enjoyed it. It's actually a great movie, and I think it gets a really bad rap because it's not as good as the first Avengers movie. And I think there's a lot of nostalgia, I think, that people hold with the Avengers, even though it came out in 2012. I think it's that whole idea of all these characters coming together that we really love in this movie. Is Avengers a good movie? Yes. Is it a great movie? I don't think so, but I think a lot of people do, and that's great. Loki was a great villain in those movies, having the Chitauri show up, and I mean those massive the whale looking things, and Hulk stops it. That's great, but they never piqued my interest, and I think sometimes what I don't enjoy about these bigger movies is that you get so lost in all these characters. And then along comes Infinity War. And then you say that until you're talking about Infinity War. And then along comes Infinity War, and it has more characters than any of the other Avengers movies combined, probably. Yeah. And they did it perfectly.
Yeah. Well, they did it amazing.
So well balanced.
Because you have 20 movies building up all these characters, their backgrounds. Yep. We know every single one of them.
Exactly. So you don't need to develop anybody.
Yeah.
Which makes me interested to see, I guess we could talk about briefly, is what is to come with Avengers 4, whatever it might end up being titled, because there is one character that's not going to be super developed. We'll get to know her a little bit, but I mean, she's supposed to be like the baddest of the bad, with having Captain Marvel. What is she going to be like? That's the interesting part for me. Is okay, Infinity War was so well done. How's Avengers 4?
Yeah, all that we have coming up to it is what happened at the end of Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yeah.
So Ant-Man's now stuck.
Yeah, in the quantum realm. What's going to happen with that? I can't wait to see what happens.
How's it going to get out of there? And how that's going to connect? Do you know that's going to connect somehow?
It's going to have a huge connection with...
from what they've talked about, Gamora is actually in the Soul Stone.
Yeah. Is the quantum realm outside of time and space? Or no?
It's the quantum realm. It's outside of everything, I think.
So would he be... This is a complete sidebar. Is he... It just came up into my head. Is he outside the realm of... Would the snap affect him since he's not... Anyway.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what they do.
With the next movie. Let's just face facts. A lot of those characters are going to survive. Who knows who's going to die in
Well, that's what's interesting is they're not going to bring all these characters back.
Yeah.
Or if they do, how will they bring them back? And
the likelihood of Spider-Man and Black Panther coming back are very slim. I mean...
Right. Yeah.
We know that, Far From Home probably isn't actually getting made. It's probably just this.
And of course there's Guardians of the Galaxy 3 coming out, which again, is it going to be before or after Infinity War?
But right now it's on indefinite hiatus.
Yeah, but where was the story was still being developed and still there, so
who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But if this is where the Avengers movies are going, sign me up. I was so blown away by Infinity War, and I can't wait to see.
And the ending, it was such an Empire Strikes Back type of ending where the bad guys win.
Yeah, the bad guy wins.
I remember just sitting in the theater and people were crying. They're like, "What?
Yeah.
Why? No!"
And I didn't. Do this.
And I'm just like, "Yeah, this is crazy."
And I knew it was coming because I read every spoiler before we went to the theater.
My only disappointment with Infinity War, which again isn't a bad thing, but I tell everyone this, is that there was an after credit scene. If there was no after credit scene, it would have just left that
with Nick Fury and Maria Hill.
Like everyone's just so down at the end of this movie, and it hits you so hard.
Yeah.
But then at the end of it, after the credits, because everyone expects there to be an after credit scene.
Yeah.
But they bring in Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So everyone has hope at that point.
Yeah.
I wish they would have just left it hanging, leave you with no hope the way they ended it, and just been like, and not having an after credit scene would just.
You're totally right. I mean, that's
you expect that.
I agree with you. I don't think everything needs an after credit scene. I think that movie was the perfect example that we knew Captain Marvel was coming. Yeah. You didn't have to tell us. Her movie's coming out. That's the biggest indication that she's coming. We didn't need the Nick Fury, a little bit of a joke, and also
but it also aroused interest in Captain Marvel.
Exactly.
Because not a lot of people know who Captain Marvel is.
Yeah.
They look that up. What happened? Who was that? What was that all about?
Yeah,
they look it up.
I think it just led to a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
for a lot of people. Like a lot of people, who was the thing on the pager? Yeah. And I'm like, it's Captain Marvel. Who's that? I'm like, I don't even know. I really don't know who she is. I'm not going to pretend to. Anyway, that's Infinity War. Your number one.
My number one is the first Iron Man movie. The beginning of it all. This movie is just so good. It developed and started a whole new world for the Marvel Universe. It was the beginning of it all, and I feel like it could just end up Tony Stark. He's the head of like what Marvel started with the cinematic universe. Yeah. I believe it's going to end with Tony Stark having to be one of the main characters to save everyone in the next Infinity War Part 2. Yep. We'll call it for now. It was just such a great movie. The pacing of it, the development of his relationship with the Doctor in the cave. I can't think of his name right now.
Yeah, neither can I.
The Mark 1 suit. Just him coming out of there.
Yep.
And just becoming Iron Man. The way the movie ended with I'm Iron Man. You know.
Yeah. Obadiah Stane, having Jeff Bridges was fantastic. He was like, what a great villain to start off with. And not necessarily, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about Obadiah Stane as a character, but man, Jeff Bridges is awesome.
A great way of presenting it.
Terrence Howard, I'm glad he got replaced. I think Don Cheadle is a much better Rhodey, but Pepper Potts, man, I love Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts. She's definitive now. Right. I don't know.
It was Robert Downey Jr. creating Tony Stark.
Exactly.
You know? And he just perfected it himself, just being who he thought that character was. Yeah. It was just so much like the comic books. It was amazing.
Yep. And there's that is going to be the one hard thing, is that this started it all, and we know this journey is coming to an end with Tony Stark as a character, with Robert Downey Jr. in the MCU. Man, I hope he goes down in the most spectacular way. Whether he just retires, which would be cool. If he ends up dying, fine. It makes it a lot more definitive. But we know in comic book world, nobody actually ever dies. But man, was that original movie good? Yeah. It's so good. It stands up to this day. I've watched it recently, and it's still a great superhero movie. I love Iron Man.
And again, getting back to Infinity War, and after everything we've talked through, you know, so many characters died, but as everyone knows, they saved all the original Avengers to still be alive, which is such an epic finish
that is really
to it
cool.
all, and seeing where it's all going to come to.
Yeah.
I said we would discuss Thor's theme song, and we
when I came back to Infinity War.
We came back to Infinity War. Who didn't think that when Thor comes flying in at the end of Infinity War with Stormbreaker and drops in with Groot and Rocket, that it would, like, I had
that song going on,
the Led Zeppelin Immigrant song playing in my head as he's flying around. I'm like, you hear that, Steve? You hear that? He's like, nah, but I know it's there.
It's there.
We knew it was.
Here's the thing. This is actually kind of a controversial thing, and I didn't realize it was. I didn't realize that there was these two split camps on it, because I thought everybody would have been in the camp of they should have thrown that song in there. But then there's a lot of people out there that said it would have taken away from the tone of that scene and Thor's triumphant heroic return to the fight scene. So I do agree with that. Would I have loved to hear it anyway? Yes.
Yeah, there or not, I still hear it in my head every time I see that scene.
So maybe in the comment section below, do you think that Thor should have come in with Immigrant Song in Infinity War, or do you think it sounded great the way it was? I would have been happy absolutely either way, because I just love Thor at that point. And then comes in with Rocket and Groot, which is even cooler. But let's leave it at this.
Yeah, and
these are our top fives. What's your top five? Do you agree? Do you disagree with what we had to say? We'd love to hear from you in the comment section below. So please, feel free to let us know how you feel about us. What changes do you want us to see to our show? Is it too long? Is it too short?
What else do you want to hear about? I mean, again, check our site. We're going to have a lot more stuff here on YouTube. Yeah. Again, unboxings. I'm a collectibles guy. You see the Geekbeef lair here.
As am I. He's into the sideshow stuff and the bigger, more amazing collectibles. I'm into your more retail store available Marvel Legends, Star Wars Black Series, that kind of thing. What do you want to see? What content would you like to see us bring? Do you want to see us talk about comic books? Do you want to see us talk more about movies? Gaming,
video games.
Whatever. We know the
big gamer here.
He is. Not so much me, but the new Spider-Man movie or video game, I'm definitely getting when it comes out. I think that's most of America at this point. So We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for joining us here at Geekbeef.
I'm Andy Beef.
I'm Steve Beef.
And we are
Geekbeef.